Hey guys, it's Wednesday. Thought we'd do some cooking. Tonight we're just gonna do some chicken tenders. I'm gonna bread them and fry them in the pan. Chicken tenders, breast, white meat. It's actually if you buy the breasts in the store, like the family pack, it hold on, let me go get a paper towel. If you buy the big packages of the whole breast, um, this is actually part of the breast. If you open the breast up, there's the main breast, and then there's that little tenderloin off the side. That's what these are. That's what these are. They're just not connected to the breast anymore. And you can get a bunch of these. I mean, there's probably 15 of them there for like $5-6. So like if you don't want to spend, you know, $9 on breasts, a chicken breast, and you want to that you're going to cut up, these are a little less expensive. You don't have to worry about flattening them or anything like that to cook them even. They're already even and ready to go. All right, so frying chicken's really easy. Um, all you need is chicken, obviously, some eggs, and some flour. Now, if you add nothing else to your eggs and flour, add salt at minimum. Salt and pepper is most common. And you want to do it liberally. You want to add salt to your uh, chicken or your eggs and to your flour and to your chicken. Just sprinkle it over it, and then pepper to both. Now, I added a little bit of poultry seasoning into my flour and a lot of Red River Ranch, which is what I like. Like I said, it's like our Frank's hot sauce. We put that shit on everything. Oh, and everything. It's a powder. If you've never seen it, which I doubt you have, it's made by a gentleman named Kent Rollins, who has a YouTube channel and a website. It's KentRollins.com. Here is his original. He also makes a Mystique. I also have his cookbook, some of his kitchen equipment. I really like the guy. Great cook. Does a fair amount of Southwestern cooking, but he cooks just about everything. And he does it outdoors. Uses all cast iron. He used to be a trail cook for Real Cowboys. So anyhow, so to do your chicken tenders, all right, you just plop them in the eggs. Like I said, make sure you put salt and pepper in the egg. Salt and pepper minimum in the flour. It just gives it flavor. If not, it's gonna be boring. After that, you're gonna take it, put it in the chicken, or the chicken in the flour. Make sure it's good and coated, like such, like that. Shake off any excess, and then you're gonna put it on a rack, like a cooling rack. That way, because we're gonna let it sit for a minute. So once again, dip. You can even go as far if you're healthy, or if you're not feeling healthy at all, I guess, and double dip it. Put it in the flour. Put it back in the egg. Put it back in the flour again. We do that on occasion, but for the most part, I just take them and dip them once in the egg, once in the flour, and then move on. All right, so once I'm done with that, by the way, if your chicken's wet, pat it dry. You would think wet chicken things would stick better, but they don't really. I'm going to leave these on the rack for about 5-10 minutes from start to finish. So we'll say 5 minutes, because by the time I get done, it'll actually be 10. And then that way we can, what it does is it allows a chance for all that moisture to absorb and adhere to the chicken. If you don't do that, I mean, you don't have to, but the minute you stick it in your oil, it's going to come off. Or it may come off even before it comes off the plate. So I highly recommend, after you dip and coat, leave them on the rack and let them set for about 5-10 minutes, and then that way you are ensuring it's adhered. The flour becomes a little thicker, and it'll actually give you a crunchier flavor. If you don't like flour, say you're doing a diet of any kind. I know, like with the keto way of doing fried chicken, and this is actually really awesome. We were making it a lot for a while. Instead of flour, you can use pork rinds. You go to the store, buy a bag of pork rinds, crush them up with a mallet or a rolling pin or whatever you prefer to crush with, and then and just do the same thing. You'll coat it in egg, put it in the pork rind, and then move along. Interesting note real quick on eggs, and then I'm going to finish doing these up, and we'll come back when we're on the stove. But I learned with eggs that, like, if you get some eggs, like if you buy some brown eggs, farm fresh eggs, versus your standard white egg, you'll notice there's a color difference in the yolk. And like the white processed eggs, you buy the cheaper eggs that you buy are usually a really light color yolk, and brown eggs or farm fresh eggs usually have a different, darker colored yolk. And the reason for that is is what they feed the chickens. The lighter the color of the yolk, the more rice-based the diet is, versus wheat, natural herbs and grasses and things like that. But that was kind of a neat little thing to learn. All right. Well, when I come back, we'll be over at the stove with the grease, and we will have these will have set for 10 minutes. And I think that's all for right now. All right. See you here in a second. Okay, guys, we're at the stove. So, I don't know. You probably can't see it, much like when we did salmon patties, but the oil is shimmering a little. It's smoking slightly. That's how we know it's ready. If you don't have anything to put in it, like a crumb or something like that, that's how you can tell it's ready. It'll be shimmering, which, like I said, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it does start to shimmer, and then it starts to smoke just slightly. That means it's up to temp. There's the chicken we did right there on its cooling rack. And like I said, I let them sit for about 5-10 minutes to give it a chance to really soak up those breadcrumbs. Yeah, see, there we go. That's another way you can tell when you put a piece in there, it should sizzle. You never want to overcrowd your pan. That's probably the most important. What I'm gonna do is I'll put these in here. I'll do them, 4 at a time, and I'm gonna cook them for about 4 to 5 minutes at a time on each side. That way, I know they're done, and then when I take them out of the pan, I'll let them, like I said, with the salmon, any protein you have, you want to let it sit and rest for a few minutes before you eat it. So I'll let it sit back on the cooling rack. Well, I'll put them on paper towels and a plate until they're done, until I'm done with the cooling rack. Only because I have the I have another cooling rack. So as they fry up, I'll put them on another cooling rack and let them cool. And I will put this cooling rack on top of another pan, so that way any grease drippings don't drip down onto the countertop. Alright, I will bring you back when I'm ready to flip these, so that way we can see what they look like. Alright guys, so I'm back. It's about 4 or 5 minutes on that first side. And then I flipped them over, and here's what they look like. Now you may say to yourself, well, those look a little light, and they do. Reason for that, I didn't put a whole lot of dark seasonings in my flour, but that is fresh oil. I did use olive oil. You want to pick a good oil. I mean, fried chicken isn't healthy for you to begin with, but so you want to use an oil that's maybe not unhealthy. Now, if you want to go the unhealthy route, so to speak, another good oil to cook these in is corn oil. Corn oil is good for every fried food known to man. It does add a good flavor to it. But like I said, we're trying to eat a little healthier. We're all trying to lose weight from the holidays and 2 weeks of quarantine. So I'm using an olive oil tonight. And I don't have it completely full of oil. Like I said, I'm just doing a light fry, so you got to flip them versus having a whole. If I had a chicken fryer, it might be a little different, but I definitely wouldn't use a more expensive oil. I would use a cheaper oil, which isn't healthy, to do them in. But I don't have a deep enough pan to do a true deep fried chicken on it, and I don't own a deep fryer. Have no intentions of ever buying one. Maybe an air fryer down the road. But I'm going to let these cook for another 4 or 5 minutes on this side, maybe not even that long, and then I'll take them over to the cooling rack, let them sit there and finish cooking. Like I said, proteins, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, depending on the size of the protein, the meat. And then we'll see what they taste like. All right, I'll see you when I get done frying all this stuff. All right, guys, so got all the chicken fried up. Couple things I forgot to mention because my brain is just half fried. All right, so your oil, remember how I said it was shimmering, it should be shimmering? And it should be smoking slightly. That's how you know it's ready. But if you want to temp the oil, it should be right around 375 degrees. If it's not, you run the risk of your coating falling off because it won't crisp fast enough. It won't. Yeah, the minute it hits the oil, it should just crisp it right away. The other thing I wanted to mention, and it has to deal with if you're doing like multiple batches, like I couldn't get all this into one pan. I don't know anybody personally that has a pan big enough to do with essentially 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 chicken tenders. You're going to let them set and rest, but until you're done with all of them, put them on the rack underneath the pan. Just like this, rack underneath the pan, and that's what they look like. They're done, and stick them in your oven at 200 degrees. If your oven will go down to 200 degrees, but turn your oven down to 200 degrees or however low you can get it. Most new ovens will go down to like 150, I think. I know we can dry herbs in ours, and you have to take it down to like 120. In order to do that. So, but our oven's also less than a year old. So as you fry them up, put them on the rack, you stick them in the oven to keep them warm. That way you can keep them warm. And like in our case, ours has a convection setting, which means it circulates the air inside of it. So it also helps keep them crisp. Keeping them warm in there will help them keep them crisp too. If you're not doing like 800 pieces. I remember one time I did whole chicken breasts and probably did 40 pieces of chicken. And some of the ones I cooked in the beginning weren't quite as crisp as they should be. As far as when I was doing the flour, if you want a super crunchy coating on it, add some cornstarch to it. Now, I didn't give recipe amounts only because it really just depends on how much chicken you're making. In this case, it was about 2.5 cups of flour, 4 eggs, and then salt and pepper to taste. Of course, that's hard to say because you're going to fry it and then go, oh, there wasn't enough salt or pepper. But if you follow that, 2.5 cups and 4 eggs, I probably put about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of salt in the eggs, 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt in the pepper or in the flour, a teaspoon of each pepper. And then, like I said, I use the Red River Ranch, which you can only get through Ken Rollins. But if you have to pick up some, which I recommend you do, it's great seasoning. It was probably about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of that, and maybe a teaspoon of poultry, both those in the flour. But anyhow, so I'm going to try this only because that's what they do on TV. But if you notice, well, you can't really tell there, but it's juicy, it's hot. Just come out of the oven for sitting. I'm not against tasting it, but I kind of I take issue with it because I made it. Of course, it's going to taste good. And every cooking show I ever see, they try it at the end, and then they go, "Oh, that tastes great." What tastes great to me and my family may not taste great to you and yours. But we've done this recipe enough to know that it does taste pretty good, and it tastes like just a good fried chicken. I mean, it's nothing spectacular. Yeah, I mean, the breading's got a nice flavor to it. Not too much salt. I can taste the Red River Ranch in it. Sorry, had a little chicken between my teeth. And the coating's crunchy. That's the most important to me. Because most of the time, when you make chicken tenders, you're going to dip them in sauce anyhow. Now, tonight we're doing corn and mashed potatoes with this. And if we had it, or I would have made it up, we would have had chicken gravy to put all over because that would be really good. But I didn't, and I'm not going to. This is going on 6:30, and it's time to eat. So we're pairing this, like I said, with corn and mashed potatoes. We'll probably have some ranch or barbecue sauce to dip on the side. And that's what we're going to do for dinner. All right, well, I hope you make this. Let me know how it tastes. And I will see you tomorrow for water changes. We'll talk fish. All right, love you guys. Tell somebody else you love them. It'll make their day a little better. All right, talk to you later.